Hi, guys. Welcome to Once in a Wyld, where every once in a while we have meaningful conversations with meaningful people. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. So, today we are talking with Kaeley from Eldritch Locs, and it has been so long since we've chatted for real, so I'm so excited to have this conversation because I haven't talked to you in forever, and I'm only ever talking to you like on the phone, like in a hurry. So, getting to actually chat with a cup of tea is such a treat for me. And then people don't know this, anyone that's listening, is that you were on like my Lock Talks way back when I was doing them via Instagram because I was not aware of this technology. And this was like a plan in its infancy. So thank you for, I hope no one scrolls back and looks at our like low quality like videos, but they're there. And thank you for being an OG and thanks for coming back because I feel like
Of course.
both of our lives have changed so much and there's so much to talk about. Other stuff that I want the listeners to know is that you're just such an important person in the industry. I'm going to make you blush for a minute and just brag on you for a second. I think you're such a wonderful colleague to have in this industry. And one of the things that I appreciate so much about your presence in this industry that I think people are going to, as soon as they go to your page, they're going to notice is that you bring in that different demographic. I've told you that before. You know what I mean? It's just so every time I see your content or I see you pop up or what you're doing, it's just so refreshing to see other side of the alternative world because in the dread world it's a lot of hippies and stuff like that. So to see you represent that alternative demographic is just thank you for holding down the fort for that side of the dread world and for being in the industry and for representing because we need more of that. Without further ado, tell us the basics about who you are, where you're working out of, what you're doing, all that jazz.
All right. So I am based in Northern Colorado and I have a salon in Loveland and I have three amazing people that work with me and we have a tattoo artist
Oh,
that rents a
yeah.
space up front. Yeah, so that's a really cool thing to have as well. And then I'm partnered with the Denver salon, so we will if they need help down there, like we'll go down there and people come back and forth and being partnered with them has been really helpful
Yeah.
because they recognize that Three Little Birds name
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know there was one up here." So it's really
That
cool
is
for
cool.
visibility. As far as I know, we're the only one that has two like permanent
Okay.
locations.
Now, you specifically, I want to get to talking about your new space and catching up about that and everything, but are you specifically only doing dread work or do you incorporate other hair work in as well, or do you only do dreads?
It's almost exclusively dreads. I have some clients from back in the day that I'll never tell them no,
Cool.
but I don't market for that. I don't look for that. And my people want to keep coming to me, then of course I'll cut their hair. But I don't really lean
It's almost like
into
how would
that.
you
I
have the
have
time at this point?
Yeah, I have my girls that they're both incredible at cut and color
Really?
and they're both really learning dreadlocks quickly and they're really
Oh,
motivated to
okay. I didn't
learn
know
a
that.
lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been really cool. And of course, I've had Sarah with me for
Yeah.
almost 5 years now. So she's pretty
I love
much,
her.
yeah, she's great. She's pretty much my stand in if I'm not available or yeah,
Oh,
I'm
that's
not feeling well today. Can
wonderful.
you go in? Yeah, and I have that now, which was something that I'd been wanting for
Yeah.
several years. So
It's
I'm
so
really
hard
grateful
to
to have
find too. Goodness gracious. And you guys really, do you feel like you guys are at the same enough of a skill level that you could literally, like, if you were gone, you would fully trust, like, she's got it? That's so wonderful. I think,
I've
yeah,
done that with a few of the tattoo conventions where I was gone for 4 or 5
yeah,
days and I would schedule people normally and I would tell them like, hey, it's just gonna be Sarah, it's not gonna be me, just so they weren't
of course.
surprised. But like I never got any complaints about it and the salon wasn't like a disaster when I got back.
That's,
So
I'm so
I got
glad.
incredibly
Yeah.
lucky with her.
Before I get ahead of myself, catch me up on your new place because my life went in a total different direction when you got your new place and you went off into that. So tell me about the transition from where you were before to your space now, which is so stunning. If you guys haven't seen pictures, I'm pretty sure you have some tours and pictures
Oh
on your
yeah.
page and stuff. So talk to us about like how that came about. Do you love it? What's it been like settling in there and all that?
So we were in a small studio space. It was 400 square feet. It was just me and Sarah. And I had people all the time that were like, oh, you should just rent out this other chair and then you can have more money. And I was like, it's 400 square feet. Where
Small,
am I going to
yeah.
put them? And so I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And then one day I was just scrolling through my phone or something. I don't remember. And Paige, the owner of the Denver salon, sent me a link to this marketplace listing. And I was like
Like
looking
on
through pictures and I
Facebook?
was like, oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, look, that's really cool. That's really pretty. And then I like looked down and saw that it was in Loveland. And I was like, where is that in Loveland? I need that
Yeah.
immediately. And so I went and talked to the woman that was moving out, and she was like, yeah, we're going to be moving out. So I had to cut my lease at
Right.
my studio short, and we moved in May of 2024. So we're going on 2 years in the space. And we have, like I mentioned, my two girls, Willow and Nikki. I love them to death. They're both incredible, very experienced
Yeah.
stylists that are very passionate about what they
That's
do.
cool.
And yeah, it's been really great.
Because I remember you sending me like the link or the listing or some screenshot of it. And I was like, dude, you have to
I
do
know.
this. And you were stuck between your old place. And it was so weird because the same time you were doing that and thinking of upgrading this bigger space, I had just decided 2 weeks earlier to downgrade and go back home. So I was like, this is tripping me out so hard. But man, what a beautiful space. And the beautiful thing is that there was already salon equipment in there. It was ready to go. So it's just what a dream come true. Do you ever pinch yourself and just be like, how did this happen? What are the
Yeah.
odds?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It just has a way of working out, and it's nice because we have that like traffic from downtown, but we're not directly in it. So I don't have to deal with all the headaches of having a business down there.
That's nice.
It was an old house, and it was built in 1921.
Wow.
And I always had this like dream of having a salon that was in like an old house.
So I'm assuming like it's a skosh haunted for sure, being an old
Oh
house.
yeah, 100%.
Really? Like what have
100%.
you seen? What has happened?
I haven't seen much, but I'm also not there very late at night. However, Willow was telling me she was at the salon late one night, and she's often at the salon very late, just crafting and working on the wigs and stuff. So that's what she was doing that night. And she had her little, she's Yorkie poo, I want to
Yeah.
say. And her name's Charlotte, and she's awesome. So Charlotte was like running from room to room because they would hear a sound. Charlotte would go check it out, and then they'd hear a sound from the other room. Charlotte would go check it out. And Willow says out loud, "You're having fun, aren't you?" And she heard laughter.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet that freaked her out. I love paranormal stuff like that. I'm sure you do too. So I
Yeah.
would be like,
Like
let me
I
see
said, I
that.
haven't seen anything. It's just, it's a feeling.
You
I'm like,
tell.
I'm not alone here.
You can. It's so different when you can tell. Are you guys doing retail there? Do you guys do retail or anything like that? Or you mostly focus on services?
Mostly focused on services. I have a little bit of retail that I'm trying to phase out.
Yeah.
And when people ask me for products, I usually will send them Wild Organics and have them order from
That's right.
there. And Rachel, Ray of Sunshine Love,
Yes.
she makes a lot of wraps for us.
I love her. Now, for you doing, I know a lot about you, so I have to remember that anyone who's listening might not. What skills are you bringing to the table? Because you have hair background. So what qualifications are you coming in with as a loctician that others may not be coming in with?
I have hair background, and I did hair for 2 or 3 years because I wanted to specialize in color when I was in school.
Okay.
That was the thing I wanted to do. And then I got into salon world, and at the time, 2013, 2012,
Right.
it was a lot of highlights, gray coverage, and I was like, I'm bored. I don't want to do this
Right.
all day. And I had something of a natural talent for barbering. So I was like, let's zero in on this. And I did that for 5 years,
Nice.
I want to say. And I loved it. And there's some days where I'm like, man, I wish I could just go do 20 haircuts and be done
Yeah.
for the day.
Yeah.
But about 3 years into it, I remember very distinctly I had a coworker, and he was about 10 years older than me, maybe a little older than that. And he was talking to a client, and he said, yeah, I'm going to do this for another 25 years and then I'm going to retire. And I just remember
Wow.
feeling, oh my God, I don't want to think about doing this for 25 more years.
Wow.
That makes me want to die right now.
That's
I just want to, I'll give up. I'm done.
yeah.
And that was when I started like messing with braid-in dreadlocks and woolies and things like that. I didn't really know anything about it at this point. And people got used to seeing me with different colors, and they would ask me what my next set was going to be. They'd be horrified if I wasn't wearing them. But from there, I had a few people that were like, can you do naturals? And I was like,
Mm,
I guess I could learn. And so I went to YouTube University, and that's where I found out about the crochet method
yes.
and had my first couple of clients where I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but if you want to go on this journey with me, I'll do it real cheap.
Oh,
And it just grew from
yeah.
there.
You had that moment of being like, oh my gosh, I could not do this for 25 years. Let me just yeet myself off a bridge at that thought. Now that you do dreads, do you feel like, does that hit you differently? If someone was like, hey, you're going to do this for the next couple decades, do you feel happy to be doing that for the next few decades?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to add a caveat there that do I want to be doing this exact thing
Sure.
exactly as it is right this moment for the next 20 years? No, absolutely not. Will I do dreadlocks for the next 20 years? Yes, 100%.
That's really cool. I like that you're so open to where the wind takes you and always like doing something new and challenging yourself and staying on that leading edge because that's how I am. Like anything that's like a
Mhm.
routine, like over and over the same thing every day, that's good for me for a while, but I will start to lose my marbles and
I start to go a little crazy.
have to do something
And
else.
then I was talking to Pinky a few weeks ago, and I said, like, every 7 years or so, I burn my whole life down, and I'm like 2 years
Same,
overdue for
same.
that.
Likewise, don't say that out loud. The universe may hear you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I do the same thing. I probably have a shorter time window than you, but
Yeah, it's about every 7 years. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want any of this. Goodbye.
yeah, that's good.
And so I've tried to like harness that energy into a less destructive
Just
pattern.
catapult it into something productive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just use it
that's how I am.
to motivate myself rather than just burn everything
Yeah,
down and then see what's
I
left.
like and then like reverse engineer it as if it was like pre-planned, like a wisdom or
Yeah.
something, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Like I knew exactly what I was doing.
No.
To your point about what do I have
Oh,
that's different, as far as obviously I am heavily involved and interested in body
right.
modification world. I'm not a piercer, I'm not a tattoo artist. I don't have plans to become either one.
Never,
But
never say
because
never.
of that, never say never, but I don't it's not a plan right now. It's not a goal that I'm working for. But I would say that has changed my approach
Mm,
to how I do hair in that I've healed so many piercings. I've healed so many tattoos. I've
mm,
had things go wrong. I've had things get infected. And I've had
right.
to learn how to troubleshoot and plan for the long term
I love
as
that.
far as like doing hair. Whereas I feel like a lot of stylists is just about this appointment or like a blonding journey. Like we're
Mm,
working toward blonde, and these are the steps on the blonde journey. And it's not that there's not a lot of room
right.
for when
The
human
ups and
bodies do human
downs.
body
Hmm.
things. Yeah, there's not a lot of room for that. And so with my experience in body modification world and healing of my own things and things I've seen happen to other people, I'm able to plan long term and give different options
Mm,
at different junctures
I love that.
to achieve different goals. I guess that's what
I
makes me
love
different.
that perspective because, of course, at first I'm just asking and thinking of hair background versus non hair background, but I think you're bringing up something really important that I've found as well. You do have a different appreciation for this is where we're headed. And I think that
Hmm.
is a different approach than a lot of what we're seeing. And I'm not demonizing anything. I have to always make that disclaimer. Like, I'm not speaking about anyone
It's just
specifically.
different. It's
It's
not
just
bad.
different.
It's just
So I
different.
like that you're bringing that approach of, hey, I've seen this happen and I've been in the long haul for healing this or changing this or altering this. An attitude that is necessary for the dread journey. So what you're touching on of saying that we'll call it long haul thinking is that I feel like there's a degree of that being lost a little bit in the dread world right now. Dreads are becoming more popular in different circuits of people. We're all seeing it, and that's great for everybody. However, what is coming in with that demographic is does not have the perspective that you're touching on of that long haul, like this is like a body mod or a I want to have a full body suit of tattoos or I want to go on a dread journey that'll last me
Mhm.
decades or until the end of my life. I have noticed that something about the newer demographic that's coming in this next wave of popularization does not include that type of thinking.
It's always a conversation I have with a new client that's wanting to start a dread journey is and I hear Sarah say it all the time too because I say it all the time. I'm like this is a journey. This
Yes.
is your goal picture is our goal for 2 years from now. It is
Yes.
not going to happen tomorrow. It's
Not
not going to happen in
today.
3 months. Not
Yeah.
today. it's just, you have to be like committed to it. And like with the rise of tattoo removal and like laser removal services, people are like, oh, I can just get this tattoo, and if I hate it, I'll just remove it.
That's crazy.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. And that's okay. If I get these dreads and I hate them, I'll just brush them out. Okay. Have fun with that journey, because that's going to be a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can, but why would you do that with the idea that, oh, I can just not have it anymore?
Interesting.
And what I've seen a lot on TikTok, people talking about piercings, specifically like facial piercings. Oh, I had this piercing when I was a teenager, and now I have this horrible, ugly scar from it. And I'm like, okay, this idea that piercings are temporary needs to go away, because it's not real. Like, I even remember being like that age demographic, and piercers would be like, yes, they can lead to scarring, it can lead to migration, rejection. There's things that can go wrong that are permanent as your body changes. And I feel like that's been lost with this newer like phase, is that people are just like, oh, it's just this cute little thing that I want for right now, and then I don't have it. Don't have to have any permanent sacrifices as that result from it.
And that's all well and good, not demonizing anyone's approach, but there's a couple things in there that I'm thinking of. Obviously, with the development of crochet method and that instant lock category, we do facilitate a lot of that. And we can get people with the skills we have now pretty darn close to their inspo. And so that's what I say the exact same thing. Like, this is a journey, and there's your body changes, your hair changes. There's going to be ups and downs. I'm going to be here to help you. And breaking down the myth and idea that you're going to have XYZ on day one. And that's usually my first stop conversation, was usually disappointing someone of saying, hey, that's a great picture. We're not going to get there today. You know what I mean? And then in some cases, being like, I can get you really close, but you're still going on a journey. And then what you leave with is going to change because it's hair.
Or what I see a lot is, that's not real. That's a wig. Those are hair pieces. That's filler.
And now a lot too. We're dealing with the AI.
And now a lot of AI too. I'm like, okay, you need to understand that's not real. We can base that as our inspiration, but that's not realistic.
What's going to be on. And so the advancing of crochet method, I think that's a good thing. And we're able to deliver these results a lot more instantaneously, but we're missing that patience and that attitude and that long haul attitude. And then also, do you think it's a little bit of a perspective of people like you and me? So I would say alternative culture or alternative like expression, that we don't have that perspective. I don't know what you think. I think that's a facet of us coming from that alternative perspective. You know what I mean?
It's, I guess, a counterculture. It would be the best way to describe it, because there's the trendiness. It appears on the surface that there's no commitment. And it can be really hard to tell when somebody's just chasing a trend, or this is what they actually want
and who's to
for
say,
themselves.
You know, how maybe that person doesn't even know within themselves.
And that's true too. Things change, and maybe that was what you wanted in your 20s, but in your 30s,
there
you're
was
like,
a few
like
things
it makes
that
sense.
I did in my 20s that later I was like, and that's what black work is for.
And that's what black work is for. Yes.
For all of the, I don't want to say mistakes, but decisions made when I was a different person.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I always love your perspective on this stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I always think it's funny when people are like, go right to tattoo removal, because I'm like, I'll just black that shit out.
That has never crossed my mind in my entire life. Have you ever had a tattoo removed? I've had stuff covered.
I can't think of a scenario in which I would choose that route.
Yeah, I mean, unless it was real bad. I mean, even then, I'd still just cover it.
I just cover it. I just black it out.
And then get ink on top of your black work. Like, interesting. I love that. Just to recap for my own brain and for anyone listening, just that you're saying your experiences in alternative culture and counterculture and those types of fashions or whatever you would call it, that type of thinking does lead into the dread world and how you're educating your clients, because to understand that this is a long-term decision and this is a long-term journey that's volatile and has ups and downs and shouldn't be treated flippantly. I guess you can if you want to, but
you can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want.
Do you want to live with that?
Yeah. So interesting. And so that's what I would...
It's more of a... like the counterculture is like, what I meant with that is more, it's like a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like people that are heavily tattooed, that are heavily modified, visibly modified. they understand that they're not going to have a normal life. Like
Yeah.
they did that like pretty intentionally to not
Right.
have a normal life. And
Yeah.
so people that want following the trend might be like dipping their toes in, not committed to having a different
Mm.
lifestyle. And then they mean like, oh, but I can just undo it later.
Right.
Maybe
I
let's
know
not do it
exactly
at
what you
all
mean.
then.
Then don't do it.
Yeah.
Right. I interact with that a lot. There's very much a I want to have dreads, but I don't want all the inconveniences or bumps or whatever, or frizz or texture or any of the items that come along with a dread journey. I want
Hmm.
the thing, but I don't want the other things. And so I find myself
I
interfacing.
want the pretty parts.
I don't want the crazy parts. I don't want the up and down parts. I don't want the difficult parts. I don't want the patience. I do also see a pretty magical moment sometimes where someone will come in with that attitude that we're describing. And then there will be like this moment where they quit giving a shit. You know what I mean? And they have a journey. And I love that.
I've
That
seen it a
shift.
lot where with journeys that I've started, where in the beginning they're just, I think they're like afraid to mess up,
Mm-hmm.
or even sometimes it happens and I don't know if it's something I'm doing or it's just like they're just nervous in general, but they think I'm going to get like mad at
I
them for
know.
messing up my
I
work.
know.
And or I don't know what it is, but they get this, I'm going to palm roll every single day. I'm going to come
I
in
know.
every 6 weeks for maintenance. I'm going to wash them exactly how you say and dry them exactly how you say. I'm going to palm roll them 1,700 times a day. And then there comes a point, usually it's 2 months or so, 2 to 9 months, I would say, somewhere in the beginning of the maturing phases. They're like, this is a lot of work. I'm just going to let them do what they want. I'm like, that's what I've
Yeah.
been
And
trying to
you're
tell
like,
you this whole
yes,
time.
awesome.
You
Yeah.
got there.
Yeah, I feel like clients have to come to that on their own, though. You can
They
tell
do.
them, of course, and educate about care or less is more, but they really have to come to it on their own in their own time. And I like watching that happen at a different rate for each person. That's very interesting.
Mhm.
I love a few more questions about hair world, dread world before we get to the juicy stuff. A few things. What do you find dread wise that you're doing the most of? What is like your bread and butter at your salon service wise?
I would say bread and butter would be maintenances with the regulars. But as far as what I'm getting the most requests for, it's been a lot of the more luxury ends, not like super luxury, but people want like more
Mm,
length that's left unlocked. And they usually want it to be a little
yeah.
bit fuller. I remember in like 2020, like every inspiration picture I got was dark root
I
blonde ends.
know.
That's what everybody wanted. I have never
I
gotten
know.
one of those in, I was talking with somebody recently and I was looking for pictures of it, and all of my pictures of those types of styles were from
I
like
agree.
2020, 2021. And it's not something that's been requested
I
recently, and
kind
I
of
didn't
miss
even
it.
realize
I
it
kind
until
of
I was
miss
looking for
like
pictures
a
of it.
lovely ombre moment. That was so fun. And so now you're seeing requests for luxury and more undreaded. What are your that trend? How do you feel about it?
I personally love it. I like the softness of the look. It is a little bit different of a dread journey, and I always tell people like they're going to
Yes.
shed. That's totally completely
Can we
normal.
like rent
They'll
an
thin
airplane
out.
with that on the back of it? Like they are going to shed and like fly that.
They are going to
Yes. Oh
shed.
my.
So I just try to be like really realistic about that. But that's I wear like big open
Same.
ends
I
myself,
love it.
and I love the look of it. I think it's really soft and feminine, and it's just taking something that's previously been considered like
Mm.
dirty or like anti aesthetic and
Well,
making it
and
aesthetic
also
is really fun.
it brings a femininity that I've really thought about a lot too, because I'm not saying dreads are inherently masculine at all, but that alternative nature of it and bringing that softness back to it, Uno reverse that in a weird way. And I think that's very interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love the trend too. I'm definitely a fan. I wonder how long it will go on. And I wonder if back in the day when like you were probably looking at dread inspo photos and I was too, if someone had showed us that look then, would we have liked it or would we have been like, oh, weird? We would have been
That's
like,
not
what
even
is that?
dreads. What is
Yeah. And
that?
now it's what everyone does. And will we think that like in a decade? Will we be like, oh, I can't believe we did that?
I really love the lock
Yes.
sprinkles.
Love those.
They're so fun, and it's everybody loves them, and they all come out so
Hmm.
different, and everybody has like such a different vision for their sprinkles. And The beads come in
Yeah,
ridiculous
that's
quantities,
true.
so I can do it
Yeah.
500 times over. And it's a lot of fun. It's a different
Yeah.
type of decor because again, like back in 2020, 2021, everybody wanted
Wrap every
1,700
dread.
wraps and wrap
Hmm.
every single dread in 7 different colors. And it's been cool to see more, I get
Yeah.
like softer
Yeah.
decor and like more feminine, more understated,
Like
more
subtle.
chic, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah.
Subtle, yeah.
And that just goes to show again that there are no rules and no labels and no boxes. And you can enjoy any
Mm.
floats your boat at any time. And that's the beauty of expression of dreads specifically. And there's so much versatility. It's interesting to me to see that rhythm of how things move. There will be periods where everyone wants wraps, whether it's a few months or a few years. Earlier this year, beads were out. No one was doing beads. Nobody.
Mhm.
And now I feel like beads are making a little bit of a comeback. So I'm very fascinated by watching those trends or decors come and go, if you will. The thing that I'm trying to popularize, and maybe you can help me, is I want more dread piercings. I don't know why people are not
Dread
doing more dread
piercings, yeah.
piercings.
Let me see if I can
Like the
find my dread
barbells and the
piercing.
spikes and all that. I think it's
I
maybe
know
I
I
should wear
have one
more of
in
them.
here.
You can help me popularize it.
There it is.
Yes, a little dread piercing. Oh,
It's a
hell
nipple ring.
yes. I love it.
It was too small, and I
That's
was like, I'm
so
gonna wear it somehow,
cool.
damn it.
See, okay, you're on to the trend. So yeah, let's
Yeah.
make dread piercings more popular. I really want to get to the juicy stuff about your life. I want to talk about the fun
Okay.
stuff because not only do you do dreads, you do amazing dread work and artistry all the time, and you're slaying it at this beautiful haunted salon. But I really want to know about your newest journey. I don't know if it's new for you. You'll have to catch me up. Is your suspension work? So, how long have you been dipping your toe in that? How did you get into it? Take me to how you started.
So I did my first one ever in
Okay.
2019. And it was something that I knew I wanted to do since about 2008. But as you can imagine, it's not the easiest thing in the world to find somebody who can facilitate. And so I was scrolling through Facebook and like an acquaintance of my friend group posted his suspension. And I immediately messaged him. I was like, did you do this? I've been looking for 10 years. And he sent me this group, and they're no longer, they still exist, but they don't do like
Okay.
public suspensions anymore. And at the time, they were doing like once a month, they would do public suspensions. So I did my first one with them, and I did a crucifixion. So I had 2 hooks in my back and one in each arm, and I
Wow.
was just crucified. And it was amazing, of course. And I was like, this is everything that I thought
Yeah.
it was going to be. And I'm really excited that I got to do this. And that was where I met Sasha. And he is the leader of the Denver group now. I emailed him and I was like, hey, I want to come to these events. I want to assist and I want to be involved. I can help set up. I can help tear down. Like, whatever
Yeah.
you want me to do, I want to be a part of it. I don't want to just suspend. Like, I want to be in it. After that first suspension that I did, they had a retreat in West Virginia or something, and then COVID. So that was when they pretty much disbanded and stopped doing public suspensions. And then I started going to the Villain Arts tattoo conventions. I'd never been to a convention. Besides, like, I don't like
Right.
crowds,
Same.
so it's probably terrible. And I knew that they did suspension at the convention. So I was like, I'm going to see if I can find these people. And I found them and I was like, hello,
Oh,
I'm Kaeley. And I just never left. I just stayed there. I stayed through show close. I helped them tear down. I helped them load out. And I was like, this is
you're like,
fucking
this is my life
sick.
now.
I love being a part of this.
I had no
This is
idea
my
you had
life
been
now.
involved for that
And
long and that you had been interested that long.
I think because of the quick increase in suspension stuff,
Right.
especially with my content, people are think it's just something that I
I would
just
agree.
stumbled
Yeah.
upon and I'm like, I made it my whole personality. No,
Yeah.
that's
That's
not
so
what
cool.
happened. It's been something that has been at least in my awareness
That's really
since
cool.
2008. And yeah, I always wanted to be a part of it.
Skipping ahead of myself here for our listeners, can you please break down for anyone who's listening what is suspension? For someone who's complete novice who has no clue what we're talking about, maybe I'll put in some pictures or images or things like that. But tell everyone who's listening what is suspension? What does it involve?
So suspension is an ancient practice, and I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm not going to
Hmm.
say where it came from, but it's been a cultural practice for thousands of years at this point. But it involves getting pierced, and often is in the back, but you can do
Right.
pretty
There's
much
so
anything
many.
you can think of. There's like palms of the hands you couldn't really
Right.
do. There's not enough to grab there. Like armpits are too stretchy, but pretty much anything that you can think of on your body, you could probably hang from in some way. And so you get pierced with a large gauge
A
needle
big,
like this one, a big boy. They're not
sure.
usually this big. This is the big
So
one, but
cool.
they're chunky. They're chunky needles. And then they put the hooks in, and then they thread you up on the hooks and
Mm.
you hang from your skin.
That sounds pretty crazy.
It's super
So
fun.
I
It's
like that
super
you're
fun.
saying that this is an ancient cultural practice. Uh, would you ever describe suspension as like a performance art as well? Would you, okay. I
Oh,
wondered if that
100%.
was a fair
Yeah.
categorization or if that was like, no, that's not what we're doing because it's such, and we'll get into this, it's such a personal internal practice, but it is also a performance. I think it's just as powerful and potent for the people that are witnessing. And I have to tell you, I'm a complete novice to this art form, 100%. The only reason I know anything about it and I'm fascinated about it is because I've been completely on the outside, never something I personally was drawn to. However, I had a braid-in client that I took care of, and she's a very well-known suspension artist. And I had hours and hours of doing her hair, and she was so open and was willing to answer all of my questions. And I was like, hey, I'm your typical person that would see that and be like, what are you doing? And she was so open and let me ask so many
Yeah.
questions. And by the end of our conversation, because we were together like 4, 5, 6 hours, I was hooked and obsessed. Hooked. I was so
Hooks. Yeah.
like just intrigued and had learned so much from her. And I'm so grateful. I don't know if you know her name's Dasha. I forget which group she travels with. Dasha.
Yes.
Okay,
I
awesome. Just
follow her.
wonderful person and taught me so much about her internal process with it. And I want to hear about yours. And so, just for our listeners, maybe if you're someone like me who before would have seen that and been like, turned off and freaked out, I think there's so much goodness in understanding what it's about and understanding what those performers or participants are going through. And I think each person has their own motivation. And then also, this isn't some freaky thing that people are doing. This is a very involved, there are teams of people that do this. This is a professional, like, I think that was what I was left with from talking with her was like, this is really serious. This isn't, because you put it of just, oh, there's a couple oddballs that like to do that
Yeah.
strange thing, but it's a very intense and I don't know if popular, maybe popular is too far to go with it, but I think it's more popular now than it has been. So, what
Yeah.
do you think about that? Do you feel like it's becoming more popular currently, or do you feel like it's still a real fringe practice?
I would say it's more fringe, but it has more visibility now because you're able to do it
Mm,
at tattoo conventions and like sideshow acts, circus acts. And that's heavily dependent on the venue, of course. But having the performance aspect of it, like we're putting on a show, I think it has people get more
mm,
curious about it, and there's usually one of two reactions where people are like, oh my god, that's so crazy, I could never do that, you're absolutely insane. Or they're like, that's cool, like how did you get into that, could I do it, can
yeah.
anybody do it, is that
I mean,
something that you have to be trained
can
for, like how does that
anyone
work?
do it? What is the process of going from interested to participating?
It depends on each group. I'll say for Denver Suspension Collective, just because that's the one that I suspend with most
Mm,
frequently. You have to find your way to them. Say that you're interested in suspending. If there's a spot for you at the next meetup, which is once a month, then you show up, and there's usually 20 to
that's a
40
lot.
people at each of these events. So
That's a
it's not a
lot.
small event. And they usually have between 6 and 8 people
Mm.
suspending, just depending
So
on the
you wouldn't
day and the
necessarily be
venue.
suspending every
Um,
meetup as a person.
no, I guess you can if you really want, and there's room, but not typically. It's more of a hangout vibe. And then you have to fill out the waiver. And there's all on the website, there's all kinds of information about standard protocols and
Right.
how we keep people safe and conditions that are
Yeah.
antagonistic with suspension. I'd say, like, maybe if you had like a blood clotting disorder, or some heart conditions can cause problems with it. And that's not to say that you can't do it. It's just that we need to be
Yeah.
aware of those things because we need to change how
Right.
we approach it,
And what
those
you would
conditions.
pursue doing. And yeah.
What you would pursue doing. If you have a heart condition that makes you prone to fainting, maybe
Yeah.
don't go upside down.
Maybe inversions
Like
are not, yeah.
maybe inversions are not for you. Or maybe we can work
Mm.
up to inversions, but maybe let's not
Yeah.
start there.
Like you said, this is how we keep people safe. I'm sure sanitation. This is the type of equipment we use.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Infection control, blood control. I just recently got my bloodborne pathogens certification,
Nice. That's cool.
which I've had before, but I haven't
Yeah.
renewed in a really long time because I haven't really needed it.
Well, now
But
you
I'm
do.
like, now I'm going to be doing more stuff. So I should
So you would
probably
say
have
if
that.
someone was looking to participate, there's a good amount of a learning curve in terms of it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different aspects of it too. And Sasha is a really great one to learn from because he's one of the most respected facilitators in the world. And there's a reason for that.
What do you think when you first saw it, way back when you first got interested, what do you think was your biggest draw to that art form and that ritual and that practice? What drew you in?
I would say, similarly to a lot of my other body modification journeys, it's about the challenge. Can I handle this? Can I really go
Yeah.
through with that? Can I get past the mind fuck aspect of it? Which is, people always ask like
Right.
how bad it hurts. And like some positions are more sensitive than others. But the biggest thing is your brain screaming at you, like, we are dying. We are actively dying this moment, and getting past that.
Mm.
That's the biggest challenge, I think, rather
Mm.
than the pain of it. And pain's different for everybody, but I think that most people would agree that it's more about getting out of
Mm.
your head and surrendering to the experience than fighting through the
Would you
pain to
say
get
that
there.
internal process is similar to people that do things like cold plunging and things like that? Do you think it's the same effect? Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Getting tattooed it's more of an ordeal to get through, especially with black
Right.
work and in sensitive areas. There's not really, at least for me, an energetic payoff where I'm just like, wow, I did it. Amazing. I feel wonderful. I just feel dead
Okay.
after I get tattooed. I just immediately go to
See.
bed. I'm just like, I'm done. And with suspension, I feel like there's more of an
Okay.
energizing effect because, of course, you're really excited that you did it. And then you have your friends that are cheering you on, or at the conventions. There's a lot more of pushing yourself to get through a difficult pose, and then you do it. You hang from that difficult pose and you did it. So that's the biggest difference between getting tattooed and
Okay.
suspension for
Interesting.
me.
The energetic payoff. I like that. Outside of the energetic payoff, what do you feel like you personally derive, like in your inner world, from participating in suspension regularly? It sounds, or at least semi regularly. What does that do for you internally?
It's fun, for one. It's a lot of fun. I do the performance aspect of it. I love to sing while I'm hanging from hooks. And I learn different things from each suspension, and I take those forward into the next suspension that I do because, yeah, I learn more about what my body, as far as being able to be suspended by hooks and be comfortable, because that's the goal. You shouldn't be in
Okay,
pain the
that's
whole time
interesting because
or
I think a
like
lot of people from the
uncomfortable.
outside would think, okay, this person's exposing themselves to pain and they're just muscling through the pain. And that's really not the goal in the process. Okay.
And
I think that's a big correct that people need
no,
to know is that is not what's happening.
yeah. And very typically, if you're going through a lot of pain, either something's been placed
Mm,
wrong and you're having like nerve issues, the movement of the body is not in line with the suspension pose,
okay.
meaning that you are having to fight the pose to maintain it,
Mm.
or you're having to fight your body's natural relaxation in order to maintain
Sounds like
comfort.
such a head trip of something to relax into. And I know that's the
If
work.
that makes
I
any
know
kind of
that's the
sense.
process. I wonder if you identify with this. I think the thing that clicked for me, moving from someone who would witness that and be one of those people that would throw up or run away and who was not drawn to that, to being someone that can really appreciate the art form. And now I get very emotional when I see it, is the way that Dasha described it to me, because I've had very little exposure to a lot of people in that scene, is she said, that because of traumas that she's experienced, it reconnected her to trusting her body. That she could come away from the experience and say, like, my body, the way she put it literally just moved me when she told me, she said, my body was able to hold me up through that. And it reconnected her to her body. And that made it click for me. I was like, okay, I feel like I'm getting it. I'm understanding now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And to that point, I have a lot of body image issues, body dysmorphia issues. And when I'm suspending, I literally do
Really?
not care. Like, I'm usually in a bra and pants, sometimes shorts. I'm
Very
very
exposed. Yeah.
exposed. And I do not give a
Wow.
fuck that, oh, people can see my stomach rolls or they can see how big my thighs are. Like, I'm not, it's a form of pushing that insecurity and having that
Mm.
confrontation with, you're still doing something incredible and no one's worried
Nobody's
about
paying
what you look
attention to that
like.
at all.
Nobody's
Mm.
paying attention. Yeah. And so it helps you celebrate your body in that way because yeah, it did get you through
Right.
that.
It makes so much sense because you can look back and
Hmm.
say, my body could take that. That's very fascinating. Do you feel like the things internally that you derive from suspension, do you feel like they then transfer into your regular life or your normal life and you're able to carry those lessons and those bits with you? Or do you feel like they stay in separate boxes? Can you only experience those things during suspension practice and then they don't translate to your life? Or do you feel like they start to translate over?
I would say that it's easier to access in my daily
Mm,
life. Not that it defaults to that. It's not like a full brain reset where I'm just like,
right.
I love my body. Like, I still
If
have all the
only it was that
insecurities and
easy.
everything. If only it was that easy, but it does translate to that to a degree, and tattoos as well, because people be like, "Oh, let me see your back tattoo,"
I
and I'm
know.
just like, "Sure, rip off my shirt and show them." And I would
Yeah.
never, me in my
Yeah.
20s could never.
Same.
So, like, just having that, I'm ass out in front of
Yeah.
200 people, and I'm just like, "Yeah, this is cool."
Which something in
Like,
your regular life would not
having,
be what you would do.
yeah, yeah. So it does translate in that way, and it's easier to access that part of myself that isn't traumatized from growing
Mm,
up in the early 2000s
right.
when
I
everybody was
know.
90
My
pounds.
gosh. Tell me about it. This beautiful intersection point between dreadlocks, tattoos, suspension, and art, and all these things. Talk to me about that intersection point of those industries, which I think we all recognize when we work with dreads. There's a lot of crossover. And now, with you bringing the suspension into that fold, it seems like you're finding this amazing community and network. What does that look like in practice? And is that kind of is that the area you feel like you're headed into? Is that intersection point?
Yes, and that has been a goal of mine for
Okay.
many years at this point. I remember talking to Paige, the owner of the
Right.
Denver salon. We were in Florida for like a dreadlock meetup class situation. And I was like, I want to travel and do dreads. And at the time, I was like, maybe I'll just like guest spot in people's salons and travel wherever. I went, hey, I want to go here.
Mm,
Who's here? And do it that way. And then as time went on, I was like, I've always considered dreadlocks more of a body modification
mm,
than a hairstyle just because of the permanence of them. And it's not super easy to not have
yeah,
them
that's
anymore
true.
if you don't want them. And there's that commitment aspect that comes with body modification as well. And so moving forward, I was like, I remember distinctly having this conversation with a friend. I was like, I want to travel, I want to do suspension, and I want to do dreadlocks. And I want to find a
Mm.
way to combine all of these into one job.
And you feel like the convention space is the one that's facilitating that.
At least it's a starting point. I've never done it before, so I don't know how it's going to play
Oh, I
out
think
in
it's
the
going to be a
long
hit.
term.
You're seeing art. Now you're seeing performance art plus the tattoo. It's not just rows and rows of tattoos. There's a lot of cool stuff there.
There's a lot of cool stuff there. And so it was something that I've been thinking about for a long time because I have wanted to find a way to
Mm.
blend those things.
If someone, what would you tell like a little baby person that is interested in suspension? If they're a little suspension baby, what do they need to know before getting into it that maybe you could go back in time and tell yourself?
Assuming that you've done your research and you found a team near you or that you are willing to travel to that is trustworthy. I would say for your first suspension, do your best to let go of expectations
Okay.
because it's a very foreign feeling. Your brain doesn't know really how to process it, even when you've done it a bunch of times. And so if you go into it with this, it's going to hurt
Mm,
so bad, or it's going to be the most like nirvana experience I've ever had, then you put that nervous energy into it, and then your brain is more likely to freak the
okay, when
fuck
it
out.
doesn't
That's
meet
when
your
people pass out.
expectations that you've set up. Okay.
Yeah, that's when people pass out. That's when they bail like 2 minutes into hanging, if they even
Mm,
make it that long. They have these ideas about what they want to get out of it. And there's nothing wrong with having intentions for it, but you need to release expectation and just like a meditation. Oh, I'm feeling this feeling right now, and
okay.
I let it go. And now I'm having this thought, and I let
Mm,
it go. Oh, I'm getting a little scared, and I let it
mm,
go.
I like that. Wow. So that could lead to a really deep level of
Yeah.
personal development and change if you are able to do that. That's amazing.
Hmm.
Very interesting. I'm fascinated by this art form. I'll just be honest with you. Like I said, I was one of those people that would have seen it and probably taken off running in the other direction. And from talking to you and talking to Dasha and just getting those types of things into my algorithm, I've really had my eyes opened. And I really now I would be the person that would sit there and watch and appreciate the whole thing and just watching each person's process. What is the typical amount of time that someone is hanging for? What's the average?
Oh,
Really?
it can vary really greatly. I would say for me personally, I don't like to hang for
Oh,
less than 15
wow.
minutes.
Okay.
It feels like a waste. And I know that's like me putting my own
Expectations. Right.
expectations on it. And of course, I would never judge somebody for just hanging for a minute or two if that's what they needed in that moment. But for me, I feel like I didn't do well unless I hang for 15
Mm.
minutes. That being said, the most I've hung is an hour.
Wow. I did not know people went that long. That's amazing. Do you feel like people of all walks of life come to suspension, or do you feel like it is very particularly people that are already maybe in the tattoo community, alternative community, counterculture, modifications? Do you get a little bit of everyone, or is it mostly the more fringe peeps?
I would say mostly it's people that are in some form of subculture. But that being said, like it does appeal to a wide variety of people. We have a couple of
Okay.
scientists that
I
come and
wondered
suspend
that.
with us. And I assume this is because of piercing's history within the
Mm,
queer community, there are a lot of genderqueer
love that.
people that come to the Denver suspension meetups. And so it becomes a queer safe space as well. And I love that. I wasn't really sure what to expect
Right.
the first time going there, but yeah, there's a lot of genderqueer or transitioning people that come there and are able to
It's
further their
amazing.
process.
Again, such an amazing modality for self awareness and self development. I'm sure everyone gets a little something different. I'm sure everyone has a little bit of a different, but I am hearing a lot of the same things that it's a way of challenging yourself, like you said, and at the end being like, I did that. And I think that's amazing. You're multifaceted. You're like me. You do so many different things, and one of them will take the front burner, and one will take the back burner. In terms of the dread world specifically, and being an optician, how do you feel like your approach towards that, or your feeling towards it, has changed over the years? Because you've been doing this a while. So how do you feel like that has changed? What has that evolution been of how you feel about that world and your approach to it?
I would say in the beginning, it was like my whole personality. Like there wasn't a lot of people doing it yet. I was just starting to find people like you and Liz Kidder and Rolly and all of the big names. So that I was like, oh, this is like a real
Right.
thing that people do. It's like, I want to be at the top of that world.
Same.
And yeah. And I would say how that's changed now is I don't want to ever again going back to the expectations thing, I don't ever want to feel like I have to
Mm,
do it. I That was what drew me to that world in the first place, is it wasn't just like normal salon world, and I could do things differently and I could do things my way and I could take it at my pace. And that was what was really appealing to me when I started. So if I'm just taking every single client I can get and like trying to stock myself for three,
Right.
4 months at a time, I've done that before. And I got super burned
Mm.
out on it. And I was just like tired all the time. And I don't ever want to not enjoy
Mm.
it. I'm like, oh, I have to go to
Right.
fucking work today. I don't ever want to
Yeah.
feel like that. So I would say that I've learned having these other aspects of my life has given me more things to
Mm.
nurture.
Maybe lacticians that are just getting into it, just in terms of the dread world, can probably relate to that. Or maybe they're on that upswing where they're doing that right now and they're putting all their eggs in that basket. And I know to a degree that is necessary to get yourself up and going.
Mhm.
But I think I've gone through a similar shift as you, but I think I'm behind you a little bit in terms of that. And I've definitely taken a lot of cues from you several times. Have been like, what would Kaeley say about this? What would Kaeley think about this? You know what I mean? And so I've definitely have gone through that same shift as well of just nurturing the other parts of my life and myself, because I have no desire. I might not keep this in. I might edit this out, but I have zero desire to be at the top of that pile anymore. No, thank you. I'm done.
Yep.
I'm all done. And
Yep.
so, yeah,
I'm good on that.
I'm out. Another thing I forgot to say this at the beginning is just you don't get caught up in the social media games, and I love that. How do you do that? How do you not get roped up in that? You're so good. I don't know. I just feel like you're so good at keeping a good balance and separation.
Part of it is that I'm terrified to be perceived.
Okay.
So I don't post nearly as much as I should. And that's actually another one of my goals this year is to be
Yeah.
consistent with social media posting. Since I started posting more suspension content, I get engagement from it, but it's more from like
Right.
suspension people or tattoo artists than dreadlock world. But occasionally I'll get somebody that's, oh shit,
Yeah.
I didn't know you did that. And that was what got me experimenting with what I posted.
And you've heard me, like I said, preach about, oh, consistency and this and that. And now I'm just like, you really got to follow your heart, because the algorithm's so unpredictable and there's so much oversaturation that I really think doing things,
And it
it
changes
changes
all
all
the
the time.
time.
As soon as you get used to it, it's going to be something different. So you really need to go with your heart and what you're interested in. And you never know what people are going to like. And I just know that making that the focus of your life, which I'm 100% hand on the Bible, so guilty of doing multiple times in my life, it will suck the joy out of your existence very, very quickly,
Mhm.
chasing those numbers. And yeah, so at least for me, I'm moving away from that personally. And it's pretty nice.
I see people post about it frequently where they're like, "Oh, I only got 800 views or whatever on this video." But then think about that. If
Yeah,
800 people
that's a
like were
lot.
in a room with you,
I
that's a
know. I'll be
lot.
like, oh, that only got 1,500.
And I only
That's a
got
lot of
1,500.
people. That's an insane amount of people. If you saw 1,500 people in person, you'd be like, oh my God, that's crazy. That would be
Right?
nuts. Yeah, so I've changed a lot as a person too. So I was curious if you've moved at all in that direction. I think the world's changing as well, and the internet's changing, and social media is changing, and it'll change again as soon as you get used to it. So
I do notice that like the internet in general seems to be moving away from the
I agree.
influencer era. They want to see real stuff and they want to see Liz talks about it a lot. They want to see the good,
It's
the bad,
true.
and the ugly.
It's really why I felt called to learn and grasp and get my hands around, my mind around long form content, because I feel like short form content, how are you supposed to connect with somebody in short form? And
Mhm.
just, I think people are really drawn to reality a lot more. Reality is trending,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying.
Reality is trending.
I
Yeah.
love on a personal level, because this kind of feeds into what we're talking about. Are there any experiences in the past few years since you and I have talked that you've gone through that have maybe changed you as a person, that you're showing up in your personal life or your professional life? Is there anything you've gone through that's changed you that you're now bringing and showing to the world?
I think it would definitely be related to the tattoo
Yeah.
conventions and suspension. because I have a lot of, I was talking to a friend about it recently and she was like, oh, you have so many friends now. And I'm like, yeah, but they're all like compartmentalized. Like those are convention
I
friends.
feel
Those are
you.
suspension friends.
Yeah,
Those are hair friends.
I had
They're
two.
not, there's no big friend group. And so I would say like having those connections with people in convention world where it's an escape for a lot of us, getting away from the
Mm,
daily grind or just being in a room where people love tattoos and artwork as much as you do. It's a really encouraging and validating experience. But just like reawakening the body modification part
mm,
of me. And not that it was really not a thing, but it was more that it was like a back
right.
burner thing because I'm not a professional and I don't work in the industry. And I've always been tangential to the industry, that it was like, it doesn't really make any sense to focus on this because it's not what I'm
I hear what you're
doing.
saying.
And yeah, so having that connection with the tattoo conventions and further with suspension has enabled me to reevaluate that passion that I've had since for
Right,
fucking
right.
almost 20 years, 19 years now. It's always been a part of my life, but being able to tie it in a way in
And it's
that
like
makes
they're
sense in
just
my
like all
daily
coming
life.
together. Like I'm seeing that too. And that's so, yeah,
Yeah. That's been, I would say, probably the biggest
that makes
change
total
for me.
sense. All these different parts of yourself coming together. That's amazing. What body modifications do you have so far for our listeners? Would you mind sharing what you've got going on?
Outside of like my basic tattoos and
Mm-hmm.
piercings, I have a split
Yeah.
tongue.
I'm so tempted.
I have my coin
Oh,
slots,
cool.
which where I have one on each
Nice.
side. And then I have my conch punches,
Very
which
cool.
are 0 gauge currently. I have 5 implants. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5. And I have my
That's so
triangle in my
cool.
hand, my power button that you
Power
can't really
button.
see, but it's in there.
Your
And
thumb
then a
spine.
thumb spine. And then I have my 2 spines on my
Amazing.
collarbone as well. And that one.
How
Isn't that
painful
good?
on a 1 to 10 are the implants? Be honest.
Not very. I would say you're numb for the procedures, so that's not pretty chill. I would say that they're like as compared to a split tongue, super
Really?
easy to
I mean,
heal.
the split.
And that's not to diminish the severity of
Of
what can go
course.
wrong because I've had one go wrong. I definitely wouldn't recommend for most people that they get
Mm,
implants, but for people that understand what they're asking for, it was a pretty easy
that's
healing
cool.
process.
Okay. And real quick, just doubling back one more time, can you say more about your opinion about how you put dreads in that body modification category? Can you speak to that a little bit? And because I'd love for people to take on that mindset a little bit more. What is your approach on that? What is your mindset on that?
That it's we're going in the with the idea of permanence. We're going in, even with the
Right.
Braden situation, this is your new hairstyle. This is your new life. It's, we can undo it, yes, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to undo. And you're going to spend a lot of time and money undoing it and undoing it. So why not be sure that you want what you're asking for and you're not chasing a trend or doing it because somebody thought you should. And just I do my consultations that way too. Like we're going on a journey together and I'm going to be here to help guide you and I'll answer any questions you have, but you need to understand that the journey is for you.
Right.
Like you're going to be the one that experiences the most changes. You're going to be the one that experiences all the frustrations and the little things that drive you crazy and the little things that you love about them. It's a very
Mm,
personal journey and I am simply your
yeah.
guide. Like I'm not part of that. I'm not
Mm.
part of your journey, but I will help you through
Do you
your
feel like
path.
if there is that element, and it's this element of bravery that for things like that, like you said, with your punch, mod and your tongue and everything of just going for it. And I feel like I keep harping on this, but it's something I can't get my attention off of. I feel like that's an element that used to be a part of the dread journey specifically with dreadlocks, where it was, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to do it. We were doing our dreads in a bathroom. Our friends were helping us. We were watching half a YouTube video and then just gunning it. And I do feel like that element is lost. And there's an element of bravery that there's these cojones that people aren't quite coming in with, which is good because they have locticians as their guide and so much more help. Like you're saying, you tell people, hey, we're going on a journey and here's what's going to happen and here's what to expect. And so there's something about that little nugget of bravery that's not quite there. And it does make the challenges that come along the way in a dread journey a little bit harder to navigate because you don't have that kind of, I really want this mentality. Because I know for me, when I first got dreads, I was like, I don't care if I look like a lunatic. This is what I'm doing. Like, I do not care. And thankfully, we landed in a good place. I think the fuck it is definitely missing in a lot of places. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm just noticing that. This has been so amazing. Thank you so much for answering all these questions, especially about personal elements of your life like suspension and modification. This is something in the dread world that we don't get to talk about so much. And just, again, like I opened with, thank you for being an alternative girl in the dread world. We need representation out there for all different demographics so that people can see themselves represented in this world. And so thank you for carrying that torch and just dancing to the beat of your own drum. I just absolutely love that across the board. So don't stop what you're doing. And thank you for answering all of these questions. I cannot wait to share this with everybody.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, we'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye.